kedusha. Okay, we did this already. We learned about the name. This is the name that is in charge, so to speak, of the name of Membeis, the 72 name. Now these are the 3 psukim. Now we're going to go into, I think, how we create this name. Where does this name come from? The 72 words. So it comes from 3 psukim. We're going to see each one of these psukim, each one of these passages in the Torah, have 72 letters inside of them. And this is the first one. V'yisa malach Elokim holech lifnei machne Yisrael. The angel of God that goes in front of the camp of Israel. V'yelech machareim v'yisa v'yamod ha'anan v'pneim. And he went behind them, and the cloud went in front of them. V'yamod machareim, and it stood behind them. That's one pasuk, 72 letters. The next pasuk is V'yavo bein machane Mitzrayim uvein machane Yisrael, and it came between the camp of the Egyptians. This is when the Jewish people were leaving Egypt, and they had a cloud. It came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of the Jewish people. Via anan v'achoshech v'yar es halayla, and there was a cloud and there was darkness. V'yaris halayla, and it lit up the night. V'lokarv ze'aza kol layla, and they did not reach each other the whole night. This is referring to the Egyptians not being able to reach the Jewish people the whole night because of this cloud. V'yet Moshe es yado al hayam. The third pasuk is where Moshe Rabbeinu stretches his hand over the ocean. V'yolech Hashem es hayam beruach kadim aza, and Hashem blew a wind, a very strong wind from the east, an eastern wind, a very powerful wind, kol halayla, all night. V'yasam es hayam lechorava, and he made the ocean. The yam always, it's interesting in the Torah, the yam, which means the ocean, does not refer to the water of the ocean, but refers to the ground of the ocean. So we say the ocean is filled with water. That means the ocean, which is like the bowl, the ground of the ocean, is filled with water. So it says here that the ocean became dry. V'yivake hamayim, and also the water became split. So a few things happened. The wind came, made a split, and then the Jewish people walked through. So these 3 psukim are combinations of each one of the names of Hashem. Each one of these 72 names are built up of these 3 psukim. Now, the way it works is the first pasuk, if you take the first, this is the way I remember, I think we're going to explain it later. So basically, maybe we'll say explicitly later. These are the names. The names here are the Vav and then Hey and then Vav. That's the first name. The second name is Yud and Lamed and then Yud. The second name and then the third name and so on and so forth. And these are the angels that are associated with these names. And these, and these are the words that these. Here, this first one is the word that the letter came out of, and then, and I'm not sure what this is here. I'm not so familiar with this chart. There's another name here. These are the angels that are associated with these letters. Each letter has an angel associated with it. Okay, so these are all the 72 names with their angels. Okay. Now he's going to explain how we get this. Ve'ilu ha'ayin beis shemos hayotzim migimel psukim. These 72 names that come out of these 3 psukim, ve'yisa ve'yavo ve'yet, these psukim, yashar v'hafuch v'yashar. That means on the first pasuk you read it straight. You take the first letter of the first pasuk, and on the second pasuk you have to go backwards and take the last letter of the second pasuk. V'yashar, and again on the third pasuk, you take the first letter again. V'kol shem mehem kol im shem havaya shehu makora, and each name has the name of havaya that is associated with it. V'reish yud vav malachim, 3 times 72. I think reish yud vav is 216. 72 times 3 is 140. 210 plus 6, 216, exactly. So that's 72. Reish Yud Vav is 72 times 3. Malachim hayotzim reish Yud Vav osiosov. Like we said before, that there's an angel that comes out of each one of these letters of every two of the 72 names. Umishi yadaktik Yosef Yimtza Aye Rovots will find a lion crouched. V'keshezeh ha'ar yishag milo yira. Meaning, if you look carefully, you'll see that there's a crouched lion, meaning a very powerful, I think he's saying a very powerful energy here. And when this lion roars, who won't be afraid? Tremendous power here. Amar Kosov. Now, the writer said, I think this is referring to Rav Moshe Cordovero, or could be referring to again Rav Chaim Vital. Amar Kosov, Al Kain Matzasi, Ad Kan Matzasi. Up until here, so this is Rav Chaim Vital speaking, up until I found, written, Ve'eni yodea imhu l'shar pulos kavanos kanoda o imhu lahasig baruch hakodesh kanir min halashon she'omer harotza libosh eshashem. So he says, I don't know if this is for all sorts of different actions, where a person wants to do practical magic with this, or if this is in order to receive Ruach HaKodesh. That's what he's saying. Very interesting, he's so unclear about this basic thing, and I think that also it's very interesting that he's bringing this whole name so far as an understanding of how to perceive Ruach HaKodesh, where in the end of the day he says that maybe this is to be used with magical powers instead of getting a spiritual perception. Maybe it's because he's going to bring in now more places that say explicitly that it's for the use of Ruach HaKodesh. So here we're going to continue. Gam ze matzasi binyan askar shem ein beis lahasig Ruach HaKodesh. Now he found another place where it speaks about saying the name of ein beis in order to receive Ruach HaKodesh. The 72 name. And it seems to me that it's what's written in the book of Chai Olam Haba, and I think here again he's quoting the Rav Moshe Cordovero, who never quoted Rav Abulafia explicitly. This is why he's Rav Moshe Cordovero. This is like a little complicated because Rav Chaim Vital here is the student of the Arizal is quoting Rav Moshe Cordovero, who was some years before the Arizal, and then Rav Moshe Cordovero himself in his book he quoted an unnamed book, and in that book he basically Rav Chaim Vital is saying that unnamed book is the teachings of Rav Abulafia. Rav Avram Abulafia, specifically the book called Chai Olam Haba, the life of the future world. Elashu B'Ktsar, the only thing is that Rav Moshe Cordovero is quoting it in very short terms, in concise form. So it's very interesting. I heard the Mekubal spoke about this in where I study, and they said that it seems to be, and I don't think that he brings it here, but it seems to be that you have to know a little bit of history on Rav Abulafia. The greatest rabbis of his time, some of the greatest rabbis of his time were very much against him. And they wrote very strongly. The Rashba, for example, has some writings that we have till today that are very, very strongly opposed to the teachings of Rav Abulafia. It could be for that reason. Many people have stayed away and not even quoted. Even the Kabbalists themselves have not quoted and discussed his teachings. It could also be because the teachings are dangerous and many people have been damaged by them. But it could be because of the arguments that there were on him. So we see a very interesting thing. We see Rav Moshe Cordovero, slightly before the Arizal, quoting Rav Abulafia, basically quoting him in short form, but not mentioning his name. Because if he mentions his name, then again, it would make sense that he's afraid of arousing some type of arguments. That those people who are still against Rav Abulafia because of the writings of the Rashba and others would be upset with Rav Moshe Cordovero quoting such a teacher, and then maybe they wouldn't accept all of his teachings because of that's how it goes. When you see someone doing one thing wrong, you just assume the whole thing's bad and you throw it out. So, although this is not wrong, in our generation, all the rabbis write that since the Arizal here particularly in this Sefer, is going out right and mentioning him by name and speaking about him as one of the kosher Kabbalists, that we do accept him as a kosher Kabbalist, as a real method, and the method that he teaches is real and kosher. Not to say it's suggested for everybody, but it is kosher. And he was a holy tzaddik. He was not just confused the way those who were fighting against him said that he was just like mixed up in his head and stuff like that. Yeah. So Rutza Lask Yeshem Ein Beis Achar Achana Tzricha Alav. Now he's quoting, I don't know again if he's quoting Rav Abu Lafia himself from the Sefer, or if he's quoting again the shortened version of Rav Moshe Cordovero. Okay, Atatzorich Letaken, I think that he's quoting Rav Abu Lafia himself here. Oh, here, it says, I didn't read this here. It says, Mikan Matchil Tzitut Misefer HaCheshek L'Rav Abu Lafia. Another sefer that he wrote, another book that he wrote called The Book of Desire, which is another book that discusses methodology and how to do this. And now he's speaking about how to say the name of Ein Beis, the 72-letter name, 72-word name. If you want to say this name after preparing yourself, you have to prepare yourself and be in a specific place in order to mention the explicit name. You must separate yourself from any animals and any people. V'gam mikol havle shituf, and also from all the havle shituf. Havle shituf could be referring to a number of different things here. I'm not exactly, or probably it's referring to one thing. I'm not exactly sure what it's referring to, but havle shituf could be referring to believers in not just in God, but there are some that believe in God and something else at the same time. Certain type of idol worship, certain type of non-Jews, and a person must separate himself from those also. And a person should not leave in his mind any thought of human or natural thought. Not a thought that comes through desire, meaning through, I want to do this, or I'm thinking about this on purpose, or something that comes even like automatic. Now, this is basically describing a methodology of meditation that a person has to reach. He has to clear his mind completely till there is no thought whatsoever, no thought popping into his head, no visions, nothing. And it says, if you have to be in your mind, as if you gave a divorce to all of the forms of anything in this world, of this physical world. We have to divorce ourselves from anything physical. That means that you can't picture in your mind, you have to have a clear mind, perfectly crystal clear. As if a person gave a command before he dies. He tells witnesses, he tells them what he wants to be done with his estate. And he commands somebody, he tells somebody what to do, taking care of his wife and children. And he gives away all of his money. And he has closed for himself any type of overseeing, meaning he's not overseeing and thinking about any of his businesses, any of his work, or any of the things that are going on in his life, any of his problems. He has to completely separate himself from it completely, where there's no thoughts, external thoughts at all. And he must remove these thoughts from him, and must go away from him. Has to go away from him. After you have gained such a clear mental state, meditative state of some sort, basically this is called clearing the mind. It's a very common practice. Very common practice in the beginning stages of gaining spiritual perception. And we're giving different classes in different book that's discussing some of these methodologies. I personally had a lot of, have had some experience in these things. I read when I was much younger. I read in a book of Ari Kaplan's Guide to Practical Guide to Meditation, where there he speaks about clearing your mind. And he actually, if I remember correctly, he said that it's not, you need a guidance counselor of some sort to help you through this type of meditation if you're going to do it very intensely. And for some reason, I decided to do it anyways. And I started doing this clearing my mind, like just clearing my mind. Not here we're clearing your mind in order to prepare yourself to say a name. But I was just clearing my mind and just like seeing how far it would go. And after about a month, maybe a few weeks, I'm not exactly sure, of practicing this, I would get to a state after about 5 minutes of clearing my mind. I would start like feeling my whole body spinning around in circles, and then I would hear very loud noise in my ears, very loud rushing noises. And then all of a sudden, I would see myself like pop out of my body and go to the top of the room. And then things would happen, and I would get scared, and then I would try to wake up, and then it's a whole story. But basically, it's something that I used to practice. I didn't find any practical use in it, and I didn't find a person who could guide me in what to do in the next step, and anything that would help me. And I stopped. Although I do still, I would say, I don't want to say suffer. I guess I did suffer at a certain point from this type of recurring experience afterwards. When I would go to sleep, if I was very tired, the same type of thing would happen to me, and then I would wake up after a few minutes, after like a minute of this, and basically after the years, it's gone away. After I've stopped practicing this meditation. I'm sorry. Just clearing my mind intensely, meaning until you basically removed all feelings from my body. I wouldn't feel I would start off with my feet, and I would so to speak, like cut off feeling from my feet, and I would go up till I was basically like lifting up my awareness from my toes. I would lift it up to my up to basically to my head, and so I wouldn't have any consciousness except for in my head. And then I would cut out my experience of hearing and my visions that I would see when you close your eyes. You see like all sorts of pictures or thoughts or whatever it is, and voices that you might hear, just your own voices that are just like thoughts that come into your head. And I just cleared it, and I just kept, the goal was just to keep a clear head, just zero, literally think of nothing. And I've actually spoken to other people about it, and I told somebody else how to do it, and they, on the first shot, so to speak, they were able to get the same type of experience after one time. I remember when I was 18, then when I started, it took me a few weeks. I think it took me a while until I started getting these types of strange experiences. And I spoke to other people that had the same type of thing, and people get scared, and they basically stopped doing it because also it doesn't seem to be so practical doing this, and secondly, it doesn't seem to doesn't feel safe, at least. I don't know if it is. People say it's really supposed to be so dangerous, but I've heard different opinions. Ari Kaplan in his book says that it is, it certainly needs guidance, but I haven't found amongst the Kabbalists that are teaching meditation and a perception of Ruach HaKodesh, I haven't found one who's actually used this method. What they do is they use this method, and we're going to, in different classes, we'll speak about on the YouTube videos or on the videos, we'll discuss using this as like a tool in the beginning to clear your mind, but not as a tool to lift your soul out of your body. The way I understand how it happens, and the reason why it's not so beneficial, is what you're basically doing is you're clearing your head until you become a complete vessel, an empty vessel, and now your body can float around to wherever it kind of wants to float around, or and you're basically putting yourself in a neutral spiritual position, which basically means you need still a tool to move yourself, to get yourself to go where you want to go, and that I haven't found yet. I would imagine maybe if you do certain yichudim or certain types of using certain types of names, thinking about them in such a state, then maybe you'd really be able to take it to the next level. But I don't really believe so much in blazing your own trail, and I believe that there are people who know about these things, and I wouldn't mess around with it again, seeing that it was a very extreme experience on my side, and seeing that, and hearing what Ari Kaplan wrote about in his book, that it's dangerous and needs guidance. So I wouldn't just fool around with it myself. But if I found somebody who, or found somebody I really trusted, who knows how to use this method, or if I found a source inside this farm how to do it, then that would be very interesting. I would consider it. Let's see what happens. But it seems like all these things, and it could be that everyone here is talking about when he says you have to clear your mind completely. I'd be surprised a little bit, but it could be that he's talking about this state, meaning where your soul somehow leaves your body already. You already literally gave a divorce to your physical experience, meaning you left your body. It could be that he's telling you to do that. I'm not exactly sure, but it is a very powerful experience, like very intense. It's very. I also found that whatever visions I saw, or whatever, most of it was all fake. It was all imaginative. It was like a dream. It was like a scary dream world where you actually see things very clearly, and and you aren't even sure, like you could think perfectly clearly. It's not like in a dream, and it's everything looks very clear, and you're thinking basically rationally. But I almost only saw scary things in this type of place. Like once or twice, I had some interesting experiences. Like I saw a scroll with Hebrew words on it. I tried to read it, but the letters didn't make any sense, and I just read it anyways. And I woke up from this whole thing reading these words. Another time, an interesting time, when I flew up and I popped out from the ground of some kind of, I don't know, what seemed to be a Jewish court with rabbis, and all the rabbis were sitting around me, and I got really scared. Like they were all sitting around, standing around me, judging me, deciding what to do with me. And I got really scared. So first I got really big, I made myself humongous, like a giant or something like that. And I realized I'm not going to get out like that. So I made myself really small, and I just went away. I think I went back down where I came from, and then, and different dreams like that. Nothing practical, I would say, so far. Yeah, right. That's what it sounds like. It's
I think that in Hebrew terms, it's one of the four worlds, but the one that's one of the lower worlds.
Right, exactly.
Good and bad mixed in.
A lot of good and bad mixed in. Dangerous. Right. There's an app. Yeah, it's. I'm not sure exactly what it is and how it works, but and I haven't seen. Again, if I had more material on it. Yeah, but
Discussion on this matter.
right, the secular discussion, and there's a major difference between secular meditation and spiritual, out of body experiences, are very different. The rabbis that I'm learning from are rabbis that, or at least some of them are, or the ones that they get to such a level where they're literally going into the higher worlds, the worlds of angels. If they're really special, some of the worlds of the neshamas, and they're actually speaking to very high, again, at least on our level, and maybe not an absolute level, but they're much, much higher, true revelations of Torah and things like that. In all the lower worlds, there are a lot of interesting things going on in the spiritual worlds also, but it's not comparable really to what, to what we're doing. So
I think that don't you have first there to go up?
that's. It seems to be to a certain extent, yeah. But you have to make sure, you have to know where you're going. If you stop, let's say here, it's like if you're going to America and you stop from Israel, let's say, and you stop off in England and you get off the plane and you don't know how to continue, so then you're not getting anywhere. So it could be that it's a momentary passing place where a person does have to go through. A person does. There is discussion of what you see and how you have to go up in the worlds to go up to the next world, and you can't get stuck in this world. Obviously, that's not what you want. But I don't know. Again, I haven't found anybody who told me, who showed me a source for this type of methodology. And I see a lot of sources for other methodologies, like this one we're learning right now, where he doesn't really say. I'm not sure that he's saying here, meditate until you leave your body. I just don't see that here. And also, in my experience, when you meditate to this level, when you leave your body, you can't just open up your eyes and start reading 72 names. It just doesn't, it's not even, It's like a different type of
Possible, yeah,
situation.
it's possible the saying the names just flies you off very quickly.
That's right. That's
That's that
right. That's
experience.
what I believe, that something like that is supposed to happen, and that's what I understand happens to the rabbis that have been teaching. Have been teaching me, and that's what I understand is a more correct way, at least from what I've seen so far. It doesn't mean that there isn't a methodology, a way of using these, but I don't know how to do it yet, and I haven't gotten to such a thing, and so I can't say, for myself. But it is interesting. So I'm just pointing out that if you do this type of mind clearing intensely, which you could do it, you could see how it works, and you'll experience something if you do it strongly enough. But I don't think that they're talking about here doing it so intensely for such a long period of time until it's till your mind is like to leave your body. So just pointing that out. Okay. After you do this, face yourself towards the name that we're talking about. I think it just means look at it. Yeah. Oh, no. I think that it could even be here written down. I don't know if he means it has to be in your mind. I'm not sure. We'll see. And you should imagine in your head, you should think that there is a person standing in front of you and waiting for you to speak with him. And he is prepared to answer you with anything that you ask from him. And you will say something and he'll answer you. And this is the way to go with. Starting with the kavana, pure kavana for Hashem, not for any personal pride, for any personal success, or being a spiritual leader or a rabbi or whatnot. It has to be just because you really want to come close to Hashem, and there is a lot of benefit in getting holy visions and being holy, as long as it's holy and you actually are communing with Hashem or some other very holy power. V'omer tchila techaven tfilas iktoros lefanecha masas kapayim minchas erev. And first, a person should say this passage from Tehillim. Sa'inecha lamarom, turn your eyes to heaven. V'sakapecha hasmolis v'yaminis kitmus nesias kapayim shalakon, and turn your hands, your left hand and your right hand, as the Kohen, the priest, does with his hands, which is the split hand like this, do like this. And you hold your hands, instead of the Kohen, he holds his hands from top down like this. And when you meditate, he says, Shemachalek it's bosav, hey miyamin vehe mismal. You divide your fingers, 5 on the right and 5 on the left. Veshnayim haktanos kamitza v'zeres, krovos udvukos and kmitza zeres, these two are attached. Base etzba v'ama, this is etzba and this is ama, are krovos lahem, dvukos have to be also attached. Utechalak be'emtze, and between them they're split like this. I'm going to have it on video here, so I know you know how to do it, so it's all right. V'agodol poshet levado, and the thumb is sticking out. V'chen l'shtei yadav ketzurazu. And now if you look at this picture, if you see the thumb is here on the outside, this is the thumb, and you're holding your hand faced up. So your wrist is here. Can you see the mouse? Yeah, but backwards. This is the Kohen's hands position, upside down. The Kohen, you want to see? Upside down. The Kohen lifts, the back of his hands are faced up and the palms of his hands are faced down. And the thumbs are in the center and the pinkies are on the outside. With your palm facing up. Yeah. Right, he says not towards your face, towards up, yeah, all right. So your palms are facing up. And it says here, Hama'ayin yasim lev shekapos hayadayim, and someone who looks into this will see in this picture here. These are just, by the way, these aren't Kabbalistic writings so much. These are just, right now this is Godol means the thumb, Zeres means the pinky. So he's showing here that the pinkies are touching and the thumbs are on the outside, as opposed to the Kohen where the thumbs are on the inside. So me'ayin yasim leiv shekapos yadayim mufnos klape mal. Someone who looks in will see that the hands must be faced up. Hefech ma'kohanim ha'mevarchim, opposite of the way the priest give a blessing. V'zos biglal shamizboided moishech shefa el atzma. The one who is doing his spodidus, is one who's meditating, he's drawing shefa, drawing influence and energy onto himself, into himself. Vila Kohen, and the reason, and the priest, when he blesses, he's giving over, so he's facing down, as if he's pouring it into you, shooting the light into you, either through the fingers or through the palm of the hand. Not exactly sure, but when we turn our palms up, we're like as if we're grabbing the light and not shooting it out. Ulashoncha tachriya ben saim kedmus lashon pelas, and the tongue is the middle ground between them as a lashon pelas. I'm not exactly sure what a lashon pelas is, but a pelas is a tool, in modern Hebrew at least. A pelas is a tool that people use, the construction workers use to make sure that things are flat. It means smooth or flat. And then we start saying the name, meaning after you have meditated, you've cleaned your mind completely, you hold your hands in this position and you're ready to receive, you start saying the name. But before you say the name, you say V'omer tchila Rosh HaRosh Barichos Hanashim Ubenachas Harbe. The first thing you say is Rosh HaRosh. I'm not sure if that, I think it sounds like he's saying, you say Rosh HaRosh, the words Rosh HaRosh, you say it slowly, breathing out very, very, very slowly with Barichos Hanashim like this. If it's Rosh HaRosh, you're saying like this, we're breathing slowly, like almost like meditation, like different types of meditation. I'm sorry? Right. Instructions 1, 2, 3. Right. That's a good idea. This is long. Maybe we'll stop here for this this time because we're not going to get into this. I don't know why it says. Where do we get that? Let's see. Okay. I don't know if he's referring to saying the first name here. Once we start it, let's. Okay, you want to read it? Well, we'll read this. It sounds like. Okay, so it sounds like this. Let's read it inside, and we'll see what it looks like we're saying. The first name, I think, is this down here, is Vav, Hey, and Vav. This is the first name that we're going to say. We're not going to say it, but this is the first name we're going to learn about how to say it. Now, it sounds like what you have to do is like this. You have to first, I don't know if you know, like when the priests, the Kohanim, when in prayer they daven, the leader, the Chazan, he says a word, and then afterwards the Kohanim answer them. And that's how we say it. One person says it, another person answers. One person says the same word, another person answers. Looks like we're doing the same thing here. We're also when we do the shofar blowing on Rosh Hashanah. So there's one person that sits and says Tkiya, and then the other man who's in charge of blowing the shofar blows, and he makes a blast. And then he says Trua, right? And then he makes another blast. So we're going to do the same thing here. Now you're doing it with yourself though. You have no one to read it out for you, apparently. So you're going to have to read it for yourself, and you're going to have to say like this. First of the first. What's the first of the first? We're going to say the first letter of the first name. So we say this very slowly. We say first of the first. I don't know if it has to be in Hebrew either, but I would imagine that it would, Rosh HaRosh, the head of the head. It would be worthwhile to say this in Hebrew. I don't know if you want to change. If a person's going to do this, you probably don't want to change one drop of what is being said here. Obviously, that means fasting for 3 days, and obviously that means being a holy person, and obviously that means even reading this in Hebrew would be worthwhile. But it could be that this Hebrew, the head of the head, the beginning of the beginning, Rosh HaRosh, doesn't have to be said. Meaning it's not a magical word. It could be it's just telling you this is how you have to say it, by claiming what you're going to say first, and pronouncing what you're going to say first, by saying first of the first, and then you have to say it. Second of the first, and then say it. We're going to see. So you have to say it. You don't say it quickly. You don't say first of the first. You say first of the first, like that. So long. You could do it longer than that. V'achakach, Tachshov ki'ilu echad omed lenegdecha. Now you have to imagine as if you have someone standing next to you. Kanizkar ona lecha. Now you have to have someone, you imagine someone standing next to you answering you. And you have to answer yourself with a different voice in order that the answer that you're answering yourself should not be equivalent, should not be the same as the question. Meaning, it's not a question answer, but here we have a conversation going on. It's one person's announcing and the other person, and he's saying a question answer, but this conversation is going to take place between you and yourself. You have to use two slightly different voices. It doesn't say slightly. It says two different voices you have to use for yourself. You could use one low voice and one higher voice. Or, I guess, I don't know what other voices there are. There are probably other types of differences you could make. And then, now, gam lo tarich ba'aniya klal, we're going to see what we're going to answer to the first voice. The first voice calls out, first head, rosh harosh, the head of the head, the beginning of the beginning. Ba'aniya klal, lo tarich ba'aniya klal, don't answer long. However, even though you're not going to say it long, you're not dragging the word out, you do answer it in a timely in a relaxed fashion, in a calm fashion, with settledness. So again, it should be, I guess if we're going to see say the vav, we're going to say va or va. But we're not going to say va, and we're not going to say va like that. You're going to do something on the middle grounds. Vaz taskir ba'aniya os achas min Hashem kefi mitziusa. And then we will answer, you'll say one of the letters according to the name, according to where you're holding a mitziusa, according to its existence, according to, I'm not sure what that means, according to its existence. V'zos hi osa rishona. In this particular state that we're in now, we're going to say the first letter. It's va. Shetana ba va. So the first voice says rosh harosh, slowly, rosh harosh, and the second one says va. V'achar sha emerod sof hatoch. Vitane os he. And then you have to say end of the middle. Now the reason why it's end of the middle is that we're talking about, I believe that we're talking about the end of the letter. Why do we say end of the middle? I should say middle of the first. Because we're not referring here to the name, we're referring here, I think, to the pasuk. The pasuk, the end of the pasuk ends on the second. We said the three psukim are read. You take the first letter from the first pasuk, the last letter from the middle pasuk, and then the first letter from the first pasuk again. Since we're taking the last letter from the second pasuk, we call it the end of the middle pasuk. Is that clear? So that's why we're not calling out here. It sounds like we're not calling out where it is in the name of the 72 names. We're calling out where it is in the pasuk. That's interesting. We'll see how this develops. Again, I want to make it clear to anyone who's watching this that this is not, I have not done this, I have not seen anyone done it, I'm not learning from anyone at this particular place. I'm just reading and translating and explaining basically what is written. Just want to make it clear. Nobody should think that I'm an expert in this methodology and teaching people how to actually do it. Okay, Vetane os hey, and then afterwards, again, after we said sofa toch, which is the second step, we say the letter hey. Ve'od, toma rosh hasof. And now we have to say the beginning of the end, which is the beginning letter of the last pasuk, of the three psukim that we're using. V'tane, vav. Again, we say va. Okay, now we finished the first name of the 72 names. Shehu hey vav hey vav. Shenilkach min harosh. Shemin rosh harosh. Shehu vav de v'yisa. It's the vav from the yisa, the first word of the first pasuk, the first letter of the first word of the first pasuk. Umin sofatoch. Shehu hey de halayla, and from the last letter of which is the hey of the Laila, which is, I really think it's this hey. Yeah, up above, it actually seems to say it's this hey. I think it's a mistake, just by the way. It seems to, if you look above, I'll just show you. It's interesting that little mistakes like this, like if you're using these charts and they're not checked properly, you could mess up big time. It's not worthwhile. I just want to show you a mistake that I think that I saw. And again, we'll see if maybe I make a mistake. But look, it says halayla. Look at this. If you look over here, the vav is the first letter of the first pasuk. The hey, he says, is the first letter of the last word of the middle pasuk. And I'm pretty sure that it's this one. This hey over here. You see? Very, very different. Are you reading the middle pasuk? Are you reading it backwards, literally backwards? Or are you somehow doing some kind of mixed up thing from the letters in the middle? I'm pretty sure that we're reading it literally backwards from this hey and not from this hey. So we'll see as we go along. And I think we could just check it up really. We could check it up on the second. Look at the second name. Let's look at the lamed here. Oh, it's hard to tell because the first, it's a palindrome. So we're going to have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to have to go more than 5 letters back. So we're going to have to see the sixth. Let's see the sixth name. What letter it is. The middle one is lamed. Let's see the pasuk. The sixth letter from the back is lamed. You see, look what I said. Now look what they said. According to them, it should be the kaf or something like that. Because if they start from here and they do this word first, then the next word should go to here, to kaf. But the sixth letter is lamed of the middle name. So I'm just showing that here they made a mistake, and it's just important. I mean, like I would, unless you check every single letter, unless you're familiar with the name and you make sure that the names you're using are correct, it could be that there's mistakes. As we see, there are mistakes on this this chart here. A lot of mistakes, just by the way, have been put in over the years to confuse people. There have been other reasons. A lot of different religions have taken over different manuscripts and changed to add all sorts of interesting names of interesting things that are not Jewish at all. Many of them not even kosher, obviously. And you just have to be careful when dealing with anything. Any of these things, you have to just make sure that it's being clear and that you know what you're talking about before you do it. And that's why, again, don't learn from anything that I'm saying here. Don't do it because I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not an expert in this. Okay. Umehei de halayla umin rosh hasof shehu vav devayet. The last pasuk also is read from the beginning, so that's the vav. Miyad tarid yadecha benachas asher nasasa osam lifnei Hashem yisbarach b'dmus eser sfiros miyaminos b'dmus yud etzbos. Hey, can I get hey? Let's read that slowly. Right afterwards, you have to put your hands down in a relaxed position, benachas, or in a gentle way. Maybe not. Don't throw your hands down. That's what it sounds like. Put your hands in a relaxed position. Put it down. Asher nasasa osam lifnei Hashem, because you lift up until now. They were lifted up in front of Hashem. They were in your cupped, or maybe, or held out in a kohen's position. Bidmus eser spheres, and they were put in the position of the 10 spheres. Miyamino bidmus yud etzbos hey keneged hey. On his right, miyaminos spheres miyaminos bidmus yud etzbos. I don't know the 10 spheres miyaminos. I'm not sure what that means. In the image of 10 fingers, 5 paralleling 5, miyaminos umismolios lechova. Vata fachta kochos v'zachisa achayev. Okay, let's see. It sounds like often right and left is a term also used for judgment and kindness, or schus and chayev. Schus means righteous. Chayev means guilty. Left is guilty. Right is righteous. I would say righteous more than innocent, because innocent just means he didn't do anything bad. But schus means he has something good. So again, I'm just kind of interpreting some of this cryptic, for me at least it's cryptic. Maybe someone else understands it very clearly, but if you do, you could send me a message. It sounds like we had on the right-hand side, we had justice, we had merit, umasmilos lechova, and the left ones were judgment, or chova is chayav, obligation, not obligation, something negative, where a person is guilty, I guess. I don't know if guilty is the right word. It's hard to translate this. And what you did through your saying Hashem's name, you flipped over and you turned the guilty one into someone who is innocent, or even more than innocent, righteous. So this is a general thing that we speak about in Kabbalah a lot. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make everyone righteous. We want to take all the guilty people. It's not so smart just to say, oh, innocent, and bang on the hammer. Anyone could say innocent and let all the bad people out of jail, and they can go around destroying the world for us. That's not what we're talking about. What we want to do is we want to take the bad people and make them into good people. What they call nowadays a correction center. So we're trying to correct the world through our Kabbalistic meditations and saying Hashem's name. And if we do it in the right way, we actually bring the world from obligation, from like sin, or from what do we say chayav is, from a state of negative obligation, where he's obligated because he sinned, to a state of merit. Therefore, since we now are trying to go on to the next state of controlling or overpowering the good should overpower the evil, or the merit should overpower the guilt. What we do is we take the left hand, put it on your heart, pshutos behetzbos, open with your 5 fingers sticking out, not curled, not like a fist. V'simalecha od yad yamincha pshuto behetzbos, the horos, and then put your left. You do it like this. You take your left hand and open up your fingers and put it over your chest, over your heart. And then you take your right hand, open up your fingers, and put it over your heart. So you have your left hand on your heart first, and your right hand on your left hand. And this is signifying L'horos sham zake gavar v'kava shatachton mechayev, that the righteous overpower the guilty, the guilt. So the righteousness, the power of merit, overpowered the power of guilt. And this is a good thing. Ad shu asar atzmo v'kivesh v'nichbash v'hoda alzeh. And you did this till such a point that the left has been captured, so to speak, by the right side. The left, which is the judgment side, which is the negative, was captured by the good side. V'hoda alzeh ate yeyasher libecha miyad v'ishtachave lifnei hatzura nechsheves kenizkar. I don't exactly know what, I could translate the words, but I don't exactly know. I think maybe we'll continue from here tomorrow, because it sounds like, I don't know. He says, afterwards you strengthen out your heart. I don't know what that means. Ata yasher libecha miyad v'ishtachave lifnei hatzura hanechsheves. And then you bow down in front of the, I think he's saying the imagined image. That's what it sounds like. Kanizkar belibecha shulafanecha. Because we said in the beginning that you have to imagine there's someone there that you're speaking to. Because you're supposed to imagine that you're there, so to speak, speaking to Hashem or a holy angel. So it seems like there's some bowing going on here. V'hi balas hatnua rachman alatzla ratza lomar asher hi hania. Okay, so we'll continue this later. Well, let's go to the period. Actually, I really have to go, but let's ratza lomar. So v'hi balas hatnua, and it is the owner, or the creator, the whatever of action. I think he's not referring to Hashem here. He's referring to Balas Hatnua. Ratza lomar asher hi hania ha'aniya asher anisa. Because we said there's 2 people here. You're kind of playing out this the play where there's someone speaking and there's someone answering, and the one who's answering, meaning the one you're saying the beginning of the first, And then they say the va, which is the first letter. Now you're bowing down to this one who's saying the letter va, who's really saying Hashem's name, even though it's really you with your voice. You're bowing down to the way you have to imagine that there's some in front of you saying that name. And this is the one that was saying that name. That's, I understand he's saying. Asher hi henia ha'ania asher anya asher teva libcha kikise. Where now, the way this works in a more spiritual sense, he's explaining this concept, where you have made yourself into a chariot, into a chair, into a vessel to receive the power of this holy power. We're going to see a malach of Hashem, an angel of God, to speak to you. And what you're doing is, you're really playing out both sides, but you are becoming the seat, the vessel to receive this angel of God inside of you. Does that make sense? We said before, I'll say it again, make it clear. We said before, there are two people talking here, and you're really saying out both. It's like you're making a play. Now, the play is between you, I understand. You're the one that's saying Rosh Rosh at the beginning of the beginning. The one who's actually saying the name is not you, but that is angel of Hashem. And you're playing out what the angel of Hashem is answering back to you. But you're imagining in your mind that you're a vessel to this angel of Hashem. It's probably, we're going to see soon, it's probably this angel of Hashem that's going to be speaking through you afterwards. Ushma Malach Hashem, and his name is, he is an angel of Hashem. It sounds like his name is angel of Hashem. And he is a middle ground between you and God. And he is the glory of God. This is not God himself, chas v'shalom. We have to certainly understand that there is such a thing. Prophecy comes through angels very often. I don't exactly know all the details, but when Yeshua saw an angel, he bowed down. And he said, when you see certain angels, you have to bow down. It's something, you're basically bowing down to the honor of God. You're not bowing down to them as a deity. You're not making them into a power. That's complete idol worship. Even if you worship the greatest angel in the heavens, it's still idol worship because it's an entity in and of itself. But we bow down as in honor to Hashem, and that's something that we're allowed to do. We're not bowing down in service to the angel. We're not serving the angel. It just has to be very clear. But this angel is going to speak to you and is the conduit. Hashem does all of his messages are through messengers, and he doesn't do we don't see almost anything of his actions himself. It is rare. There are certain things that he does do himself, but we don't. In these types of things, we don't usually get a direct revelation. I'm not sure if prophecy goes through an angel or not. I think that it does, but I'm not sure how it works exactly. But this, we're saying here, certainly is not going directly to Hashem. Hashem is going to speak to you through an angel. So we're trying to connect to this angel. Okay, let's leave at this for now, and we'll continue. I think it's a good place to stop, and I have to go. But it was good. It was good continuing. Hold on a second.